obviously Sauson Solutions is a combination of me and Kim's last names. And it's also like a collaboration of all of the environmental efforts and our background and the yeses and nos we've gotten in the industry trying to help our respective communities. And we've kind of taken all of that knowledge, all of the stories that you guys have told us and that we've experienced, and created a company to truly address these issues because we aim to help low income and minority communities because that's where we come from. Like, tune into a cleaner future with Pollution Evolution.
We are your hosts,
Faith
and Kimberly. Welcome to episode 10, Forecasting for a Cleaner Future.
You can listen to our new episodes every Saturday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your podcast from. You can also follow us on Instagram at Pollution Evolution Podcast and on TikTok at Pollution Evolution. Today, I know we keep changing our schedule, guys. I'm so sorry.
So today we wanted to discuss the work that your lovely co-hosts are doing to combat pollution. So we're not all just talk, you guys. And we also want to talk about how you can get involved with our efforts and seek out our services if you may need them.
Yeah, so before we dive into all of this, I just wanted to note that this is kind of the reason we started Pollution Evolution. Like, it wasn't to just hear us yap for 30 to 40 minutes every week, but it was to make true lasting change. And so I'm really excited this week to dive into what we've been doing because me and Kim have been working really, really hard to come up with solutions to help manage and combat pollution. So just a brief background of some of the things we're going to touch on today. We're going to touch on Black Snow, which is Kimberly's new book that she is writing about. Well, I guess I won't spoil it. I'll let her tell you. We're going to touch on our new business, Sauson Solutions. We briefly mentioned it in last week's episode. And 2 weeks ago, we briefly mentioned Sauson Solutions 2 weeks ago, but we want to dive much deeper into who we are, what we offer, and some of the opportunities that we have coming up. We're also going to discuss our stoplight ball, how to contact us, and finally, our future plans for Pollution Evolution, because this is just season 1. We have so much more coming for you guys. So let's jump right in today.
So let's start. I want to introduce Black Snow. I actually have with me this is my writing binder. This is Black Snow. Oh no, there's a glare.
There he is. The cover was so cool. I guess all of our listeners want to know, where did this idea come from? How did you get inspired to write your book?
Well, it came from a lot of trying and failing in other facets to try to help my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, I have been eager to help them since air pollution.
Yeah, tell us about those journeys that you've had and kind of been turned down. Like, I'm sure listeners would love to know.
Yeah, so first, whenever I went to West Texas A&M University, our alma mater, I tried to bring up with my research lab coordinator that everything that was going on in my hometown is very polluted. There's a lot of people that have health issues, and I was concerned that there was a link between them.
Mm-hmm.
And he essentially met me with the answer of, well, we can't do something that's too political because then we'll get our funding cut.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I was like, okay, science is very political. You can't, they've made it very political, rather. If we were to have said anything or done anything, then, in their mind, they would have lost all of this money from the people that they mainly go to for funding.
Yeah, it's almost sad because profit's always over people in those cases, because so many people have died from the pollution in your hometown, and it shouldn't be a political thing to say, hey, maybe we should clean it up.
Yeah.
But I guess it is.
Yeah, and even in graduate school, I would always bring it up. We had the opportunity to even bring up research campaigns that we could try to do as a group.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought up my hometown because I was like, this would be a great, we studied carbon black.
Go back to We Are Barbie Girls in a Polluted World to hear more about carbon black. We talk literally all about it.
Yeah, but we were studying carbon black specifically in the lab, and so I was
Mm-hmm.
like, this would be a perfect opportunity to, I don't know, go study the carbon black in my hometown.
Yeah.
I was like, they're a perfect case study. They agreed on doing it, and then never mentioned anything like for months.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, we had a conversation, me and my advisor, and she was like, you know, you need to have a better motivation of being here than just helping your hometown. And I will always remember this conversation because I remember thinking, wow, like, helping other people isn't a good enough motivation to go to school. Like,
Yeah, it's scary because it's like, then what is motivating you if not the betterment of the public?
mm-hmm. And so with those instances, it was really hard because, you know, you see these people who get millions of dollars in research funds,
Mm-hmm.
and they're saying to your face, like, it doesn't really matter to me, like, that people are dying in your hometown.
Mm-hmm.
Or that you may have been affected either.
Yeah.
And so I remember one day I was talking with my dad. I was visiting my hometown, and I was talking with him about my grandpa. My grandpa passed away very unexpectedly in 2008. He had some medical complications I didn't come to know of until recently. But whenever I started looking into those medical complications, I found out that they were related to the pollution.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken toxicology classes, I've taken air pollution classes, like all these classes that teach you how to make these links
Mm-hmm.
and how to do the research behind it. And so I ended up finding that out. And I remember sitting in the guest bedroom and I was like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, what are you supposed to do with that?
Yeah, because I was like, I get begged and pleaded people for help, and they've said, like, it's not our problem, essentially. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make it everybody's problem.
So, like, with that, why are you writing this book?
So I grew up, as we've touched on, like, in the very first episode of Pollution Evolution, I grew up seeing pollution everywhere. Carbon black was something that I played in, like, in the soil, you know, like, my hands would get covered in that kind of mud. You're a kid, you lick your hands, you do all these kinds of nasty things. And recently I've been plagued with, like, health concerns that nobody knows what's going on. And it's really hard because it's not just me, and I think that's the realization I came to.
Yeah.
Is, you know, I distinctly remember all these experiences of, like, black snow, which is where the title came from, of snow actually being black, and just, like, experiencing that, knowing the health effects that it causes, and being where I am right now, it's almost like a disservice if I weren't to say something. And I feel like I've gotten to the point where I've made Facebook posts, I've, like, riled up the community as much as I can, I've contacted state and government agencies regarding the environment, regarding my hometown, and everybody is just like, you know, we don't really care.
Like, kick rocks, basically.
Yeah.
So it's almost like if nobody else will listen, you have to be the voice and the change that does it, because you've gone through every avenue and you've been met with nothing but derision each time.
Yeah, and my mom always used to say, she was like, one day you're gonna write a book, or just one day you're gonna write a book, and here I am.
Well, like, what is Black Snow gonna be about? Because we have the backstory, we kind of have, like, what inspired you, so I'm assuming it's going to be about pollution. Okay, well, spoiler, I obviously know what the book's about, but for our listeners.
So, it's the first, like, half or, like, third of the book, I would say, rather, is loosely based off of my life growing up, like, my experiences. Seeing, like, for example, driving out of town and seeing the snow as it's turning black on the ground. Or having conversations in the community members and them telling me, like, oh, like, that's black gold, or that's the smell of money, like, why are you so concerned? Because I thought that those moments were so important to bring into this book, because the sad reality is that a lot of the people that are affected by this, they see it as money. It's like, that is the way that it is. Like, that's your means of survival.
Exactly.
And so I didn't want to overlook that part whenever I was writing this book. The second half addresses what I fear may happen just overall with the industry and the environment if we continue on the path that we're on. As we talk week by week, the industry and pollution go hand in hand. And that also ties into our economy, into our health, into the environment's health, into everything. And to be honest, we've all been turning away for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
I mean, NASA's website says we're at 1.5 degrees warming already.
Yeah, and we're already seeing, well, we've been seeing the ramifications. Like this week alone, we saw the highest CO2 concentrations ever recorded. And these numbers are just expected to go up because we've repealed a lot of things that protect our clean air and clean water. We are going to get into that in a couple of weeks about air quality and water quality specifically, and how this legislation has affected it. But everything Kim's saying is absolutely true, and I think it's becoming more and more prevalent as natural disasters increase and as regulations get rolled back. And I think this book is so important because people really need to understand what can happen if we continue to let everything go unchecked, especially from somebody with this background. So yeah, I'm excited for Black Snow. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm a third of the way done. And for anybody who would like to follow me along on the journey of my writing, I post updates on TikTok and on Instagram at the username Kimberly_Salceda_Nupane. For YouTube, I will put it up on the screen for you. For everybody else, you can also look me up as Black Snow Kimberly on TikTok. That seems to be a common search query I've noticed. So moving on from that, let's talk about Sauson Solutions. There's so much exciting stuff.
Yeah, there really is. So obviously Sauson Solutions is a combination of me and Kim's last names. And it's also like a collaboration of all of the environmental efforts in our background and the yeses and nos we've gotten in the industry trying to help our respective communities. And we've kind of taken all of that knowledge, all of the stories that you guys have told us and that we've experienced, and created a company to truly address these issues, because we aim to help low income and minority communities, because that's where we come from. Like,
yeah.
And we know exactly what it feels like to be ignored, rejected, and not assisted. And so we're really hoping to bridge that gap between the people in the scientific community and kind of act as that bridge, essentially. And to do that, we've come up with a new slogan. So we have Tune In for a Cleaner Future. For Sauson Solutions, it's forecasting for a cleaner future. And we do that because we are developing environmental models. And environmental modeling helps to forecast for future changes when it comes to climate change, water availability, soil nutrients, and a whole bunch of other factors. And we essentially are helping to create new models that can better forecast for a cleaner future, because we know how important those models are for decision making, city planning, governmental planning, and any like realm of our day-to-day life.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, climate change models presently are typically individualized by sector, like, but that meaning like air is in one, water is in one, soil is in another. There are very few that you are going to find that couple any of these interactions. And that's one of the disparities that we've noticed is very present with climate change. You can't say, oh, the soil is going to be affected this much, plus this is how much the water, plus the air, and we're just going to assume that there's correlations between the outputs.
Because we know that those correlations exist in nature. We literally can see that rain falls from the atmosphere, infiltrates into the soil, and then affects stream flow chemistry, depending on the detention time in the subsurface. So we know that those connections exist, but they're just not currently being modeled. So me and Kim are bridging the knowledge gap in our business to help overcome those issues. And there's many other model issues, including spatiality, usability. Like, if you don't know how to code sometimes, or you don't have that scientific background, it can be very, very difficult to even access these things. Yeah. And like I mentioned earlier, we're working to bridge that gap. So we've actually developed an app that people can deploy our model on that requires no coding abilities. You don't have to download anything. You can access this through our website. We have not launched yet, but as soon as we do, it will be open to the public to use. And we have created user guides and things like that to make this process seamless. And we also have another version for our more technical people that's deployed via the cloud. And if you would like to know more about that, you should check out our website. And you can also contact us at sauson.solutions@gmail.com if this is something you'd be interested in.
So to give some background as to, like I've shared a little bit of my background and what led me here, but Faith, do you want to give a little bit more of your background and some of our research experience?
Yeah, of course. So my background, I've already briefly spoken about it on episode 1, so please feel free to go check that out to find more background on me and Kim. But on the technical side of things, I have a very robust research background. I have been conducting research in water quality and water quantity, specifically on the watershed scale, since 2018. And I think I was a freshman in college when I did my first research experience. And from there, I've worked in many regions, including New Mexico, Kansas, Pennsylvania, Texas, and looked at how drought is going to affect water quantity in the future using climatic models, and also the way that concentration and discharge relationships are going to be affected due to pollution entering into these watersheds. And I've had the joy of creating these models both in the graduate level and on the governmental level and applying them. And I have a really robust background now, and I'm hoping to take that background and translate it in a way that the public can understand, because a lot of what we do, people completely overlook. It's not going to be something that even if you study environmental engineering, you probably aren't going to do what we do, because it's more specialized than that. That's something you have to specialize in, but it's something that affects every single person every single day. And so through Resist, that is the model that we've developed. It is aiming to bridge that gap, and it's aiming to basically bring the knowledge that we gained on the graduate level down to a level that even like somebody with no college background, no environmental science background can readily understand and interpret those results about the pollution in their area. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what we have been trying to do with Pollution Evolution.
Yeah, so like all of the stuff that we're talking about in all of these episodes has been giving us more information and also guiding us in a way to show us exactly where the problem areas are, where they exist in the world, and also what we can do about it.
Exactly. And it's allowed us to find key service areas that we would like to focus on with our business. And some of those areas include air, soil, and water testing. So Sauson Solutions offers air, soil, and water quality testing and reporting. And we can also use our model, which is the Reactive Earth Systems Integrated Stoichiometric Transport Model, or RESIST, to show how all of these areas are interconnected and how climate change might affect these areas, climate stressors like drought, rainfall, increased pollution. If you're specifically just wanting to look at the way that like cloud dynamics are going to affect those areas, we are able to offer those services. Mm-hmm. And we can get more specialized depending on your need, but because we've developed an Earth systems based model, we can model every single facet of the Earth as long as you're looking at specifically reactive transport principles.
Yeah. So for all of our science people out there, if you need anything, or even for the public, if you need anything that you think that our services could help you out on, our email, she already mentioned, is sauson.solutions@gmail.com. Our website is sausonsolutions.com. And we are also looking for people who would be interested in testing Resist. Mm-hmm. So while we are waiting to put Resist on the market fully, we wanted to do some pilot testing, make sure that there's no glitches, make sure that everybody can work through it smoothly and is able to understand what the outputs are. We obviously want to make sure that before we put this out, that we get an unbiased review of the model. So regardless of who you are, if you want to test our model, please reach out to us at any of those means that I said before.
Yeah, or even on our Pollution Evolution pages, mm-hmm. if you want to find us there, because again, we are working with the people. We developed this for the community, so we want you guys in all the process to take it to the market. Mm-hmm. And so now with that, we are actually in our pre-seed phase in our business. So for those of y'all that don't know about like funding for businesses, there's pre-seed through series A and C, like A through C. And right now we are trying to get those funds to fully launch our business, take on more employees, lead our research campaigns, get testing equipment, all those things essentially. And so we're actually crowdfunding right now. We have a GoFundMe, but we're actually doing something a little bit more saucy than that. We are holding a Regency era stoplight ball. So for those of you that do not know what stoplight balls are, it is essentially where you have different colored bands. In this case, you're going to have a different colored dance card that says what your relationship status is, or if you just are there to have fun and you're not interested in any of that. And we are going to teach you guys choreographed dances, and you're going to get to fill that dance card out and hopefully like find the love of your life.
Yeah.
But through that, we are going to be selling tickets and hosting a silent auction, and those funds are going to directly go to our research and field campaigns and paying our employees. Kim, do you want to talk a little bit more about the field campaigns and work we have?
Yeah, so some of the field campaigns that we wanted to do was first, for those of you who remember our hexavalent chromium episode, we talked about how pervasive hexavalent chromium is in our tap water. Well, that's not the only thing that's in our tap water, unfortunately. So we wanted to do a drinking water campaign. Specifically, we're going to start in Texas because that's where we are based. But we wanted to do a campaign and just test essentially as much water as we can, get as much results as we can so we can see what's going on in these communities. This drinking water campaign is motivated so that we can actually come back with a resource and a way to remediate these areas and help filter this water and get the public informed on what's going on.
Yeah, because our background, me and Kim have completed remediation projects before that have been effective that now people use as an industry standard, and we were some of the first people to come up with those designs. But we were in college, so we couldn't do anything about it. It kind of got stolen, but that's okay. But essentially, we're going to use those schools that we already have to conduct this large-scale drinking water campaign, and then use our remediation knowledge to create techniques to clean these areas and make sure that people have clean drinking water. So that's going to be our first kind of prong of interest. And then next, we are going to create a continuous monitoring device, and we are going to use that to monitor air, soil, water, and all the different characteristics. And we're going to be prototyping and building that. So that money will also go towards funding and building that.
Yeah. And for those of you who are curious, I just kind of want to put the name out there. Just
tell them.
So PROTECT stands for the Public Response Operating and Testing Environmental Comprehensive Technology. So this technology is one of its kind, so amazing. I cannot give it any spoilers right now.
Yeah, we're trying to get patents, so that's why we're being very vague.
Yeah.
If you would like to know more, please email us.
Yes. So our third thing, once we get those two up and running, we also want to do some model research and field verification. So we want to make sure that our model stays up to date continuously. We are actually going to couple our continuous monitor with our model in a way that it feeds it real-time data, and it actually creates a more accurate model based off of how the climate is changing.
Exactly, and that's what we want to use that research for. We're going to partner with postdoc and PhD students to have them use Resist to conduct these field investigations, and also having that real-time continuous data coming in to keep our model efficient, scalable, and highly replicatable. So that way the results that we're seeing in the field can also be replicated through Resist. So we have big things coming, and that's why we're crowdfunding right now, because currently me and Kim have done all of the development, all of the stuff for the pod with no outside funding besides our own. And we have so many more ideas that can genuinely help the public, but our biggest barrier right now is funding.
Yeah. And so with that, we hope that you will go to our website and get more information there. Contact us on Pollution Evolution or through our email. Please do not be scared to reach out to us. We're not going to do anything. We just want to help you. We really want to help you and hear you out. Even if you don't know if there's a problem and you're just like, hey, I'm kind of curious, reach out to us anyways.
Yeah, we might be able to like give you some just guidance and clarity so you can find a way forward. But we want all of our listeners to know, like, we are here and you can ask us any questions or bring any concerns to us, and we're ready and willing to start serving the community.
Yeah.
Because it's like we keep saying, like, people over profit, and we really mean it. Like, we want to help you guys, especially those communities that have reached out for help like Kim did and were routinely ignored time and time again. So with that, last little note on this is our Stoplight Ball sale tickets will be going for sale in the next 2 to 3 weeks. You can look on our Sauson website for updates. Yeah, and it's going to be in the summer in June, so we're looking forward to having all you guys there.
Yes, and we are planning for an indoor venue so that everybody don't get freaked out about the June date.
Yeah, it is going to be air conditioned. Yeah.
So lastly, we want to touch on some updates for Pollution Evolution. So what are some upcoming topics that we have?
Oh my gosh, we have some good ones. So our next few weeks, I'm just going to rapid fire through these. We have our climate change misinformation, acid mine drainage. And then after that, we are going to have community interviews from people all around Texas to talk about their experiences with pollution. And then our next episode is going to be on Superfund sites. And then we are going to end the season talking about lead, heavy metal pollution. And then we're going to drop this episode after the season ends. It's going to be all bloopers. And it's just going to be like our silliness behind the scenes. You get to see it firsthand.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of laughing, so.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention one. We're also going to have an episode on air and water quality as well. Yes.
And then with season 2... So, season 2, we have, obviously we're going to stay with doing a similar things to what we're doing right now. But we are going to bring you more information, hopefully a lot more information.
But yeah, next season we're going to be tackling climate change and all the topics related to that. This season was about air and water quality. And hence why we looked at air and water pollution. But next season, we're really going to be diving deep onto topics like sea level rise and glacial melt, things like that. And we're really excited to talk to y'all. And also, we're going to be bringing you more information about sauce, and we're going to be going to market in the middle of season 2. So there's going to be a lot of big updates coming.
Thank you so much for joining us and for like all of our listeners and all of our viewers. We, I'm going to say unashamedly watch the statistics sometimes.
Yeah, like kind of rabidly. So we see every single person that supports us.
Yeah, and we really, really appreciate it. And we hope that you are not just listening to us, but you're also taking this information and talking to people. Be that kooky person that has all of the fun facts that aren't so fun all the time.
Yeah, literally, we have free will. We can share pollution evolution facts with our friends and family.
That's it for this week's episode.
Yeah, thanks for joining us for all these updates, and we will see you next week.
Bye.